We are back with Messy on Purpose, and I have Steve Feldman here with me today. He's going to do a quick introduction on himself, and then we'll dive right in.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate this being on the show here, Felicia. Thank you so much. I'm excited. I've been watching what you've been doing, and I love what's going on and what you're doing, and I love the just, messy on purpose. So that's cool. So I appreciate this. My name's Steve Feldman, and I am now an author. I never would have thought I was an author, but I've just wrote a book and created a Christ-centered addiction recovery program after overcoming 35 years in addiction. So I'm pretty fired up about it, and I'm just getting myself out on the airwaves and talking and getting myself acclimated to the podcasts. And, I'm just excited to be here. And I will say that, growing up, I was just a regular guy. I'm the youngest of four in my family, an older brother and two older sisters. And I thought I had a normal family growing up. My parents were hardworking, and my parents had a couple of small businesses as I was growing up, and we had a little ice cream store and neighborhood store, and my family bowled. We were bowlers. So my parents were kind of very social people, and bowling was drinking, and growing up, I saw a lot of drinking. My mom was an alcoholic, and my dad didn't drink, so I saw a lot of rift there between the two of them growing up, and that led into just me with my older brother and sister seeing their boyfriends and girlfriends, partying, being the youngest, and when I was 12 years old, I was offered to smoke this thing that I didn't know what it was, but I wanted to be cool, and I thought it was cool at that time, but little did I know that was the start of a long, long journey in addiction. So I had my first drink and drug at 12, and I can go into more, but that's kind of the start of it, which led to a whole bunch of stuff.
Before we go further into that, so where did you grow up? I don't know where you're located.
That's right. You're on the other side of the world. I was born and raised in Rochester, New York.
Okay.
So, yep. And, nice little area, nice city school. And, that's where I was till my senior year. And then I moved to Skaneateles, New York, which, is near Syracuse, New York. And that's kind of where I'm located, made the full circle, and I'm back there. And a lot happened between when I left Rochester for my senior year in Skaneateles to coming back, which was just 4 years ago.
So this was after beating addiction that you did the move, or did you beat the addiction during those 4 years of being back?
So, well, I beat the addiction into my 50s. Like I said, I was 35 years in and out and fighting addiction. And I left Rochester, New York for my senior year. My parents bought a bowling center in Skaneateles. Okay. And right before I moved, I had my a family member offer me cocaine at 16. So, I was into that right before my senior year. And then I moved to Skaneateles, a new town. I didn't realize I had a problem. I thought everything was fun, And
well, when you're young, you're impressionable, right? Like you think it's just the norm. The people you're around are doing it. It's very normalized. I actually grew up in the Midwest, so alcohol, drugs, all of that is very common, right?
Yeah.
Nothing else to do.
Correct.
So it's very common, and when you see it as like the norm, as a young and impressionable person, you're like, oh, this is just what everybody does.
Yeah, you really nailed it too. I didn't know any different. Growing up, I thought all the parties my family on any holiday or birthday, everyone was drinking. It, seemed like they were having fun, and that's what I was into. And then, once we got in the bowling business, bowling is just, what do you do when you bowl? You drink. And so that was just common for me. And like you said, I didn't know that. I thought it was normal. And I
And it
saw,
is such a normal thing in society. It really is.
yeah, well, it's created a lot of problems. So, yeah, I left Rochester, moved to Skaneateles, New York. We had a business, and I graduated. And then I was 19, and I was on to my first marriage, and had my first child. So I was kind of fresh into the family scene, and I just continued partying because we were in a bowling business. And what do you see in a bar? You see they're cheating on husbands and wives, and the people at the bar. It can be a mess, but you don't know any different. You think this is what people are doing. And I was very impressionable, like you said. So it just led into a lot of continuous problems for me. And then I was married, and we continued in the bowling business. And then we wanted to expand. So we expanded our bowling business into the state of Pennsylvania. And I moved there when I was, 2000, which was like when I was 30. I moved there and had a bowling center there, and we had a couple here in New York State. But I moved there, and I was able to escape the problems of addiction. I was going through my first divorce, not knowing that all these things were really the reason behind everything. I had no accountability, and I was able to. We got another business, and I was the new guy in town again, and it didn't take long. I was clean for a couple of years, and it didn't take long to gravitate to the same crowd that I was used to being with my whole life.
So, gravitating towards that same crowd, obviously, as you're going through, recovery and you're getting away from that, how did you navigate from that old crowd into like a new crowd that I know you said you're a little more Christian leaning now, right? Like you're more
Correct.
into that, right? So is that the crowd that you kind of just merged into, or how did that work?
Well, the I was always in and out of church, and and that went with the addictions. If I wasn't, you didn't see me in the church, you didn't see me in the gym, there was probably a problem. I would go through these cycles, and every time I would get clean, I would be definitely back to church, trying to live a godly life. Um, and it just ebbed and flowed with that for years. I always knew Christ. I always knew there was a God, and it seemed like He just kept me safe from a lot of troubles and problems, as far as like legal problems or jail or stuff like that. I escaped that stuff, but my life, you would see my life, and you would see all the good, nice stuff. I had the cars, the motorcycles, the boats, the homes, and it just, but not behind the scenes, behind this thing here, it was a real wreckage. So, I was going through my first divorce when I moved to Pennsylvania, and then I met somebody there shortly after that, and I got into my second marriage, and I was hanging around, in my business a lot. So, I knew who the people were, and it was just a matter of, I was clean for 3 years, and I thought, I think I got this now. I think I could just do this a little bit, and well, that little bit turns into another 8-year run, and very costly.
Did this addiction, was it more in a social aspect, like you did it because that's what everybody did around you and like it just kind of felt right, or was it like a dependence on like substance?
I would say it was both. Because of the industry I was in, it was very prevalent. And but because of the lack of self control, I've the bar would close. Then there's only a group of us that are at my place, and then it led into more. It led into eventually it led into crack. And there was my last 15 years of addiction were in crack cocaine. And that was just a real dark place. And then you really start to seclude. And I had businesses at the time, so I mean, ultimately, I lost the businesses, multiple marriages. It was a real wreck.
So you went into the hard stuff before you were able to get clean. It wasn't even, it was like a coast, right? Like you started small and worked your way up.
Yes, yeah, it's I like to say that I was smoking pot at age 12, and then smoking crack at 52. So that's kind of the whole journey and the ins and outs. And yeah, the Christian part definitely was just a big part. I had some real key people that came alongside and saw the whole all the good and the bad, but they stuck with me through it all. And then, I can get into more about how it led into creating this program and how just God took a hold and really just turned it all around.
Was there, before we dive into that part, was there like a rock bottom? Was there somewhere where you hit and you were like, I have to change this? Or was it just kind of just the people around you slowly guided you that way?
It's, because I get asked that question a lot, and it's always, for some reason, I don't have this pat answer, right? Because 35 plus years of it, you rock bottom. I mean, I had a lot of them. I almost don't even like the term because I don't know how many I had. I had so many through the years where, financially to zero. That happened twice in the whole journey of losing everything. And then the multiple marriages. I feel like God was always trying to get a hold of me, So it was many rock bottoms.
And it was just like you just never learned the lesson, right? So then you had to hit it again. I feel like some people, they hit rock bottom, right? And then they learn that lesson and then they come up. And then some don't. And that's why we continuously have going to that faith, right? Like, I really believe everything happens for a reason. I think we
Sure.
fall on our face until we learn the lesson.
Yeah, I think I was extremely prideful through all the years. And I can look back now and, now I connect the dots looking back. Like Steve Jobs said that, right? You can't connect the dots looking forward, but you can connect all the dots when you look backwards. And it's something I put in my book because now I look back and can see that all the times that I fell and I just did not. I had no accountability because I had my own business. And there was people out, many times prepared. We've got a place for you. We've got a place for you to go. You can leave tomorrow. And I'd always my business can't go without me. I just can't right now, and because I was an adult, they couldn't really fight me about it. And I was just very stubborn and prideful. And it really cost me years and monies and relationships. So yeah, it's you got to learn, and this is kind of how it all led into the book and the program I developed. I was able to look back and realize, see, everything I've learned and the things I've studied and everything I went through. And I'm like, wow, God all of a sudden just came into this picture and I ended up putting it on paper and here we are.
Sometimes you have to lay it all out to even see it, right?
Oh my
Um,
God.
is addiction something that like runs in your family? I know you learned from like your siblings and their friends and things like that what led you into starting, but like is there addicts, like multiple addicts in your family, or is this just
Yeah, it's definitely a family affair. There's, sadly, there's addiction is really ran rampant through my family to this day. So, and as I've overcome finally, they don't. It's tough to get them to listen to me today, right? Because they've seen it all, and um, it's really hard with the family. All I can do really is just, pray and love on them. And, but it hurts to see it, but it's very prevalent in my family to this day. And plus what I've seen just in close proximity of friends, and it's really bad out there.
Has there been anyone that you've been able to help now that you've kind of went on your journey and then now are like building tools and things to help others? Is there like anyone in your family or someone close to you that you've been able to help?
Well, I do mentoring now. There's what's called in this area. I don't know if they're out west, but it's called the Adult Teen Challenge. It's a year program, and they have them in different areas out this way. And I'm able to do some mentoring with them. And then there's just personal people that I mentor and I work with, and so it's a continual growth for me just to teach. And I'm only 4 or 5 years out, so but God has put this mission and this calling on me to just go all in and all out. And so I have this sense of urgency, and um, so it's all in God's timing, and I can see that it'll just, as the book starts to go and the program starts to build and create and builds into this movement, which is what it's going to be across the world. There's going to be a lot of lives changed.
Do you feel that helping others helps you, stay with the path that you're trying to take?
100%, yes. And if you any recovery program, right at the end, when you get down the road in the program, they want you to share your message, right? The test becomes the testimony, and they want you to share that. And definitely, the more you share, the better it is for you, the stronger you get. Um, and that heart of compassion for people, because addicts are some of the greatest people on the planet. They're just messed up.
And it is a strange thing for me to comprehend because I actually don't really have the addiction like mentality. I don't have that gene, whatever that is, and it runs very, very hard in my family. So I have people addicted to gambling, drugs and alcohol, all the fun stuff.
Yeah,
And
right.
I've never I guess I don't really get attached to things, so that's probably why. So I'm kind of like the black sheep, so I don't really quite understand. But I married someone who does have that gene. Now he doesn't have any issues or anything, and he definitely works really hard to like break any habits that he does get right, any of those addictions that he attaches to. But like he also like I can see how it's like harder. Like if I'm like I'm just gonna quit, I'm just gonna quit. You know what I mean? But if he likes something, it's a lot harder.
Oh yeah, yeah, and you're definitely really blessed to not have that, because
Very.
and then like you said, you know people around you, and your husband, you said,
Yeah.
yeah, like he has that in whatever ways, right? And you can, when it comes out or you see it, you realize, and it is hard to overcome those things. Um, and there was something I'm trying to think what you just said that about that. Uh, about the addiction and
The
the
attachment.
unattached, yeah, the
Yeah.
attachment. That's something that I've really picked up on for myself and to use with others too. I'm very good now at being able to, and I teach this of unattaching from the addiction, from that mindset that I take this addiction and it's this thing, it's in one of the counselors I sat with, I'll never forget, he had put this, I don't know if it was sugar or powder on the table, right? And he just said, and just left it there. And he was just saying, what's going to happen with this, Steve? What do if that just sits there, what's going to happen? And I said, Probably nothing, right? And he goes, exactly. It's not going to jump up and go into your nose. You have to unattach yourself because it's not, you can't change the drug. You can't change the thing. It's got to be you. It's got to be me. I've got to change, and it's the mindset that really, and it's one of the biggest things in my program is all about the mindset.
Yeah, I mean, if you can break yourself from the attachment to something, it's easier to just let it be. I mean, people get attached to people too. Like, there's connections there too, right? There's like people that are in relationships that won't let go of them no matter how bad they are because they're attached to it. And it's almost like addiction. You just don't want to let that go.
Yeah, well, and also in that attachment is where so much pain is, so much damage. Attachment really to the past. People can't unattach from the past, and you have to move forward, right? There's got to be more focus, and this is probably, we'll get into my program, but it's one of the biggest things. I'm about focusing on the future. I'm not ignoring the past, but I mean, what's more important? Your future or what you've already been through? And I'm very good today because I can see it I am unattached from my past. I'm unattached to the things that have happened. Those were events. Those were things that happened. And I can unattach myself from there. And a lot of people can't, like you said. And it creates long-term damage.
Yeah, it's crazy how many people still live in the past. They never look forward or live in the future. I mean, not in the future, sorry, live in the present.
Correct.
Like, they live in that past, that thought of what was, and most of the time our thoughts of what wasn't as great or wasn't as bad as we thought it was.
Yes, and speaking of that, I talk about too reframing your past, right? Going back and just reframing it and looking back and see, what happened, what it was, and taking those things and saying they didn't happen to me, they have happened for me, right? I mean, you really nailed it. And so many people, they live from the past, and that's why they're stuck.
Yeah, I mean, you can't live in the past, and like it doesn't matter how good or bad you thought it was. Like, you have to make peace with what was, live in the present, and work for the future.
Yeah, and it's and I know. I mean, I had a good upbringing. I mean, and I know there's people that have had it 100x times worse than me. And I'm not, so I don't make excuses or think, that people have to get through those things however they get through them. But at the end of the day, they have to get through them if they want that good life, if they want to have a fulfilling, prosperous life. They have to.
Well, no, that just goes with, you just have to face it. You have to face it head on, make peace with it, and move on. Sometimes you're not going to get closure. Sometimes there's not going to be things that are mended. You just have to make peace and move on. And if you live in that, you're taking that with you everywhere you go, and it's stopping you from becoming the person that you should be, the person that can actually help others do the same thing. Like, that's one of the most blessing things you can do, is be able to help others in something else, whether that's like growth, whether that's getting through addiction, whether that's in a career type situation, maybe family, within your family, like whatever that is a blessing to be able to help others.
Yeah, I mean, that's the plan. That's the goal. That's where the victory is. That's where the joy is, right? And because what you're doing, you're helping people. You're letting people come out and speak. I mean, you got to feel extremely blessed what you're doing. I mean, just what you're doing, your growth has to be tremendous. And
I love it. I
know
love
you
it.
do.
It's like giving a voice.
Yes, yeah. I've seen, when I first started watching some of your podcasts, I'm just the passion and the fun and the excitement, and and that's what I want. That's what I want for others. God spoke to me. He's spoken to me many times, but he spoke to me probably 8 or 10 years ago, and he had said, Steve, your time as you know it is done. You have spent the time I've given you, and if you want to stick around, you'll spend the rest of your life serving others. And I was just like, whoa. I knew what he was saying. I knew that I wasted what he had given me. And, so I knew that I would be serving others, which I'm an encourager anyways, but he had a greater plan, which I'm now fulfilling and I'm walking in it now. But, I knew that, I knew I wasted a lot of years and stuff of all the blessings he had given me. So it's been a long journey from all of that.
But now you're headed in the right direction, and you're
Praise
actually
God,
fulfilling
yeah.
your purpose.
Yeah.
It's amazing how many people fixate on all the things that go wrong. Like, we all have stuff that happens to us, and 9 times out of 10, there's somebody that has it way worse. But all of them are little lessons in life that you can learn from and hopefully make better decisions that lead to better opportunity and better life.
Yeah, that mindset, that positivity, it's one of the things. It's my program is just it's filled with that. Part of it is the motivation, and just
let's dive into that a little bit. Let's learn a little bit more on what you got cooking.
Yeah, definitely. It was 3 years ago, that I was just sitting there. I don't know. I was thinking, and the thought came into my head that, man, everything in life is a process. Everything you do, whether it's riding a bike, building a house, starting a relationship, starting up a business, it's a process. And all of a sudden, God said, I started putting words to the letters of process, because I've been through so many step programs through all the years, that I was very versed in step work. And so I started writing, the steps of process, and how could this be a step program, I guess? And the Holy Spirit just kept going and going, and I was just writing and writing and writing. And I'm not a writer. I hated school. I got through barely by the skin of my teeth, and writing and reports was not my thing. And I found myself writing 8, 10, 12 hours a day. And it was just coming together, and it just kept coming. And I ended up writing this program, and it became what is called, the program's called The P.R.O.C.E.S.S. And it's a Christ-centered addiction recovery program. And I say it's a radical approach to recovery because it's very different than any other program out there.
What makes it so different?
Well, this program blends biblical principles with science, neuroscience, and manifestation techniques. So we work from the end to the beginning. So we start with right out of the gate, we create a blueprint, a 90-day, your 90-day future self, a blueprint right out of the gate. Before we get into the step work, we draw up who you want to become at the end of these 90 days, so that we have a game plan, and we work from the end to the beginning, not striving every day, the one day at a time thing, or we want to paint that picture and create that life first. So it's a different approach to recovery for sure.
How does AA and like all of that, how does that typically work in contrast to what you're doing? Because I've never dealt with addiction, so I've never even been through any programs.
Yeah, good for you. That's good for you. So, for example, AA, right? It's a 12-step program, and they say a lot of times, right when you start, 30 meetings in 30 days, right? You're just coming out of addiction, and you're a wreck, and they want you to get right after it. And
do you feel like that's very dependent? Like, that makes people very dependent on like the the meetings versus like actually like working on recovery. I know it's kind of an odd way to look at it, but just from like an outside perspective, I feel like that makes somebody dependent on like, I need a meeting instead of like actually coming with like willpower to change.
I think you nailed it, because that's like my program. And there's nothing against AA. They've helped millions of people through the
Oh, yeah.
years, right? But AA, for example, for me was never, wasn't good. I just didn't fit it. And I've been into a lot of those meetings in different states. And it just, first off, the first thing they say is when you're introduced, right? Hi, I'm Steve. I'm an alcoholic, or I'm a drug addict. And I've never been able to say that because being a Christian, God doesn't say that about me. I'm an
I
overcomer.
always had an issue with that too, right? Because now you're labeling yourself as something and saying you can't change. So now you're saying I'm a lifelong alcoholic. Why do you have to be a lifelong alcoholic? Why can't you be somebody else?
Exactly. Yes. Well, and that's, yeah, I mean, and again, I don't want to downplay that program, but when I see somebody that's been in there 10 years, 20 years, and that's the first thing they say, I'm already out of it. I can't listen to that. I won't listen to it. And so it's a tough way to go. And it's one day at a time, keep coming back, keep coming back. My program, I like to say it's a one-time pass through, right? I want you to get done in 90 days. You're going to transform your life, and you're going to become a new person at the end of 90 days. It's not a panacea for all your problems and everything's going to be fixed and your life's going to be wonderful. But in 90 days, if you follow the plan, your life's going to be different. Your mindset's going to be different. You're going to be thinking very differently, and your mind is going to be way away from that addiction. And I feel sometimes, I really believe that, like in that AA setting, you're always close to the addiction, and the meetings are just, again, at least the ones I've been to, they're downers, kind of, and
Well, I've listened to one because my husband's like stepmom and her daughter like do the AA thing, and like that's kind of why I've gotten like my opinions of it, I guess.
yeah,
But they had one playing. I think it was his sister, but anyway, somebody had one playing, and I heard it, and I was just like, I just don't understand how that helps somebody, because it's so negative. It's so from this like one point of view that's not like growth, in mind. Like it's just staying in one place and focusing on not doing one thing.
correct. Yes, I mean, you're really you're spot on, right? And that's how I feel when I would go to these meetings, and I would leave depressed, and I no wonder they go back and use or drink. And it's, again, I don't want to speak against AA, but that is the example, right? And their retention rate is really low, and in that, what worked for people many years ago and in the past, a lot of that doesn't work today, just like the cell phone. I mean, it used to be this 30-foot cord. You could walk from your kitchen to your living room, right? And now this thing's in the palm of your hand, and you got enough information for 1,000 libraries. You can talk to somebody in China in a split second. Just like technology has evolved, so is addiction recovery. And that's where I'm going. And you use the word growth, and that's something else that I've come to. It's in the program that once I started working hard, very hard, about 3 years ago on myself, my personal growth and self development, it just took me so fast away from the addiction world and mindset. And it's instilled in all through my program. And I believe it's really the key, because when I've gone to into these rehabs and these facilities, and I see these people coming back, they leave and they come back, and they leave, and I'm like, it breaks my heart. You put all this time and effort, But what I noticed is they come back and they're still the same. They're talking the same. Their mindset, their actions. It's like I realized you don't. I mean, like me, I've been through so many programs. AA, NA, Celebrate Recovery, pastors, counselors, family interventions, and the truth is, I don't need another tool. I've got my toolbox for recovery is
It's full.
it's full. And I realize people are not they're not growing. And I say, listen, you have to work harder on yourself than you even do your recovery. And when you do that, things are going to change, because that's the premise of my program, blended with biblical principles, is that this program will accelerate the recovery process like nothing you've ever been taught before.
And it's so great to see somebody developing something other than those cookie cutter, one for all kind of programs, right? Because everyone's a little different. Like you said, you build like a blueprint. Well, that's going to look different for each person, because everyone's got a different situation and different goals. Some people might be more family oriented. Some might be more career growth, and it all varies person to person. And having that blueprint really plays a part. Whereas I feel like something like AA or a lot of these other programs are very just like, here's what we do. This is it. And they haven't changed it for years.
Correct.
Which, like you said, as we evolve, phones and such, like all of that changes, I mean, year to year, let alone decade to decade. And if something is never changing and never evolving, how is that continuing to help you?
Yes. Yeah. And I don't want to use the word scary. I was saying to people, yeah, man, I'm out of the boat. I have stepped out of the boat. And now I actually say, look, I've burned the boat. There's no turning around from anything. I don't have any fear of it, but it is interesting because what I was shown in visions and what God told me, I mean, this is going to go throughout the world and create a movement in the recovery world. And so I'm the only one that has the vision that he gave me. So it's changed my life entirely to where I'm the one. I'm the face. There's nobody else who has it. I just need you to support me and believe me. Other than that, I understand I'm the only one, and I have to be the one out there putting it out. But, have you ever heard of Celebrate Recovery?
Uh-uh.
That's a program. The guy, it's out of Texas. It's been around for 20 to maybe even 30 years now. I think 30 years. But it started out with a guy that was an alcoholic and a drug addict. One guy wrote a letter to the pastor and to a church, drawing a blank now, Rick. He wrote The Purpose-Driven Life. If you've ever heard of that book, it's one of the greatest sellers ever. But he wrote a letter to him about this 30 years ago, if he would start the program in his church. And the guy started the program 30 years ago. This pastor took it on, and it's built to this massive program. It's a Christ-centered program, and it's a massive recovery program. I've been through it twice, but it's a year program, and that's the other thing. I don't think you need a year. I say my program is not for everybody, but it is for anybody who is ready to do this. Because it's really
maybe that's why it doesn't take as long, right? Because you have a program set up for the people that are ready to take the action. If they're not ready to take the action, they need more time to get to that point, and maybe that's why there's longer programs, right? Like to start with the baby steps of leading up to the point of wanting it, but maybe yours is just more set for the people. I'm ready.
Yes, yeah, that's correct. That's. And it's just comes out of my own life experiences. I try to tell the younger people, don't take this. If you're 20 something, don't take it into your 30s. You're not going to like it. If you're 30 something, don't take it into your 40s. don't take it into your 50s like I did. I'm telling you, you're going to regret it. So it's really a no nonsense approach with and there's no room for passivity. It's a full out attack against addiction for sure.
So how does your program work in the sense of, is it like in person? Is it all virtual? How does that work for like people who are looking for that specific program, right? People who are ready to make a change. What can they do? How can they find it?
Well, Felicia, I'll tell you, the program's not even out yet. It'll be out within the next 90 days. The publisher, I just today, just got a congratulations letter that we're in the distribution phase of it. It'll be out within the next 90 days. So this program it's fresh, but it is designed. It's funny you ask that because somebody else asked me that question today, and it's the first time they've asked. But it's this. Somebody can buy the program for one person. They can buy it. They're going to need one accountability partner, and they're going to need Christ to get through it by themselves. But they can. And the book will be for sale in all the avenues that you can purchase books. But I've also developed a complete recovery program where, you can start in a church, at a school, at somebody's home. It's a complete 90-day program that's built for you. I want to start this program in my area, and I want to start it at my local church or wherever you want to start it. I have a complete program developed for that. And that's really where it's going to go. So you got people coming like going to an AA, right? Same thing. But so I've developed that. So it is for the groups too, but the book itself, because another unique thing I did with the book is I created a series of videos where I walk you, YouTube videos where I walk you through the entire book and just share some stuff, but tell you why this is, why is this in the book? Why is that in the book? Because there's some certain things, that is specific to addicts.
Are you going to make it an audio too?
I believe it is going to be audio as well. Yes. That's my deal, audio. I listen to so many books, but I can't read books. I can read.
But, something that helps with that is actually listening to it while you read. You actually take it in better.
Right. I've heard that. I got to start that.
My husband taught me that, and I actually did it. And I was like, wow, yeah. Because I'm a little dyslexic when I read, so it takes me a minute. It's like my brain just processes faster than
So do you listen to books or?
So I like to read
both.
I like to read them, but yeah. So if I'm going to listen to it, I have to follow along and read at the same time.
Okay.
Otherwise, I can't focus.
Yeah, I have found that the listening, I found I do it so much that even at work, I get downtime. I'm able to listen to it even when there's things going on, and it's just how it's worked for me because I feel like I can't waste any time. I have the sense of urgency, and it's just tunnel vision to this path of getting this out to the world and changing lives.
Do you think that's from feeling like you wasted so much time in addiction, or do you think that's just because you feel so strongly about this movement that you're trying to push forward as fast as you can?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say both because, definitely I've wasted a lot of time, but also at my age, I've noticed my fiance and I have noticed my father right now he's 88 and he's going through some stuff, and it's just I worked closely with him most of my life, and to see him the way he is today, it's just I'm seeing a lot of people, some older people pass, and my fiance's stepfather's going through some stuff, and I'm realizing that there's no guarantee for tomorrow, so I feel like I've got to get it done, and I don't know when it's going to be over. So that's another that's another factor. I'm not afraid of it, but I'm like, man, I just got to go, and I got to go hard. I got to make this happen. And so yeah, it's a accumulation of all of that for sure. And I don't want to see somebody, excuse me, I don't want to see people waste their time, because I know what, going round and round. They're wasting their time.
Yeah, we only have one life, and it's very limited, and it can end at any time.
Yep. So yeah, it's an all in deal for me for sure.
So, with the programs that you have for like group programs, are you going to like try to team up with some like churches and stuff to try to get those into more places? Like, what's the goal there? So, I get the simple part of like selling the book, you're pushing that program out there for single people, but what about these groups?
So yeah, I'll be approaching some larger churches in the area, in the Syracuse, New York area, and I believe that God has a plan. Excuse me. I think He's working people out right now that they don't even realize that they are going to be involved in this program. And I'm part of a very a large, growing church that doesn't really have a solid recovery program in it at this point. And I'm not saying that's going to be the place, but I'm just watching God work. So yeah, I want to get this out, just like I would say, like comparing to an AA or a Celebrate Recovery. They're based in churches all over the world, and that's so I'm just me. So I gotta get other people to buy in, and I just gotta kind of go with it and trust God's timing. I'm usually one I'm always jumping ahead, wanting to just get it done. And I've learned in this journey that I'm just the messenger. I'm just the vessel, because I'm not really in control. Maybe that bothers me a little. But I've heard it put, and I believe this, that if it's not God's timing, you can't force it. But when it is His timing, you can't stop it. And so I'm trying to be just listening to Him, but I'm just watching Him work in my life, and the relationships and the doors that are opening. So yeah, I believe it'll start in Syracuse, New York, and it's just gonna go like wildfire, because people's lives will be changed. I like to say, I want to change one person at a time, one family at a time, and one community at a time.
So, do you have like an idea, like a vision in your head of like where this is going to be in like say 10 years? Do you think it's going to be everywhere in the United States? Do you plan on it going worldwide? What is your idea when it comes to the future of this?
Yeah, I love that question. Because yes, I think it's going to be around the world. I believe it'll be in churches and in small group settings, whether it's dudes' homes, their garages. Um, and God took the vision, and I'm just not there yet. I know that I'll be dealing with uh, uh, young teenagers, right, in vision centers, where I want to get those kids before their lives are ruined in addiction and drugs. I'm going to be in the inner city, because God said, he goes, I want you to be in the pit. And I'm like, I know what that's like. It's not what I was planning, but I get it. I love those people. I love to just be loving on people, and I don't want to see kids destroying their lives. So I know there's going to be a movement within the young teenage kids, somehow in the inner cities. That mindset part, because, and I've heard your stuff, so I know you're about all the mindset and, and the manifestation, visualization, and those kinds of things, mindfulness, and that's all part of my program. And so I want to get into the kids' heads early to let them know that they can be what they want to be. They don't have to follow the crowd. They can create their futures, and that's what I'm doing, and I want to share that with others.
What do you think is going to be the biggest issue for like the young teens now? Because I know like vaping is like super bad,
Terrible.
but they're not really partaking as much into alcohol as like the millennials. So what do you think that's going to look like trying to reach them, and what are you going to have to focus on when you reach them?
Well, because there's so many issues, one issue that really bothers me is the marijuana. That is, at least where I'm at, it's incredible. When I grew up, there was commercials about the egg in the frying pan, and that commercial's gone. And there's a pot store, a weed store on about every corner here now. It's okay now, but apparently their brains aren't getting fried. So seeing that and how massive of a, scripturally and biblically, I mean, that's just the enemy working his plan, destroying people because you're under the influence of something. And it's so bad, at least from where I'm at. And I know it's not just here, it's everywhere. So that's a problem, but I really believe that it's all the mindset. Everything is the mindset. You've got control of the future. You can create your future, which really is creating your present. And I think that it's really going to be about the mindset, paradigm shift for these kids and the way they think, and whatever they're having to face, because, I just like you said, they're coming in from a different place. So whatever you're coming in with, we're going to work on just, positive, words of affirmation, just positive thinking, and really creating those blueprints for their futures, so that I don't think kids do that. They don't understand. I want them to see who they can become, because I can see it for them when they're all messed up, or they're still young, but they're being influenced by so many bad things. So it's really going to be about the mindset, the paradigm shift in their minds, and helping overcome whatever it is that they're facing.
So speaking on like the younger generation, right? Something that was big when I was like in elementary school was Dare, and we just watched a video on that, and how like the idea behind Dare was, it like almost made it worse because you introduced kids to drugs sooner, right? They knew what they were sooner. But the other thing was, it wasn't actually to prevent the use of drugs, it was actually to tell on your parents. So that was the whole idea behind it. It was like their way of like basically cracking down on drug use, but through children. And it's actually kind of messed up. So looking at that program, and like how they brought it back. I don't really know what it is now. I actually just seen it. Like we were grabbing lunch one day, and they had like a little stand set up. I was like going around. But what's your thoughts on that versus what you can provide with this?
What do you mean by like?
What in comparison, so like, if you're trying to reach that younger generation, obviously not starting in elementary school, but if you're trying to reach those teens and stuff before they really just start going in and destroying their 20s, you're trying to reach those people. What can you do differently versus like that kind of like that BS Dare program that we had that was supposed to be helping keep kids from doing drugs, and now they get into it because now they were introduced to it early, right? And then they were curious, so now they're going to try it.
Yeah.
And then now it just trickles down from there. So we don't really have anything in place to kind of help that be prevented. But if you do have like these kids that are introduced at a young age, and you're trying to stop them before it gets too late, what does that look like?
I think from my perspective, you've heard of Dr. Benjamin Hardy?
Yes.
Create your future self now is one of his things. And, I'm a big believer in that, it's a big part of my program. It's a big part of the blueprint. And so for me, it's going to be an attack. Just again, a paradigm shift for these kids to start. I want to get them feeling good first, and not hammering what they're doing or what they've seen, but I want to bring hope that, and again, bring a blueprint for their futures and realize I want to change their perspective, how to look at life and how to look at their future, and try to, I want to open their minds to the idea of creating who they want to become, and getting them so that they feel confident in that, and then in themselves, because they're beat down every day. And so just the mindset and the blueprint, I think, is going to follow from the process into that curriculum too, because I believe I'll be creating a curriculum that'll go into these places, because we have in Syracuse, we have something that's called the Vision Center, and so that's attached kind of to our church, and they don't know it yet. That I believe I'll be infiltrating that and getting access to the youth. It came to mind calling it Feed and Fuel, because the kids love food. So it'll be a program based where, whether it's an after school deal where we're going to feed you some pizza and wings, and then we're going to fuel your mind. And just, I just believe I'm such a positive person. And again, I look at AA, right? That's that example. Everyone was so negative and just so into their problems. It's like, I was just like, I wasn't, I leave those groups. I'm like, oh God, it's and I'll say this, Felicia, that's when I create those first meetings, when somebody grabs a hold of it at a church and I create those first meetings, it's in my description in my book about how these are going to be set up, that these are positive places. These are going to be people, there's going to be excitement. And I get it. We're talking about an ugly subject. Some people are coming in with some nasty stuff. And I get it. There'll be some hard conversations, but it's a choice to be able to talk positively and to lift each other up, and to be fired up about what's coming. I get what's behind us, but let's work hard on what's in front of us. And so I want that atmosphere where people are open and they're fired up and they're wanting to, well, I can't wait to get into the rest of my life. I want to live my life again. I've lost so much. You ruin relations. It's just, addiction, you ruin everything. And it's a tough road back.
What is some advice that you'd give somebody who does have a family just like yours, where it's full of addiction, but maybe people don't want to change? You really want to, but you hold on to that family connection, right? You still want to be around those people. You don't want to let them go. You love them, and yet they're holding you back because you're being almost judged for making changes that they're scared to make.
Well, sometimes I just say, just show up. Whatever you're doing, just show up, and you can't overcome this. You've been through all these things, and you can't seem to break the chains of addiction. I did. I overcame 35 years. I know a guy that was in 30 rehabs, right? Was in jail more times than you can count, lived under bridges. This dude overcame it. So guess what? There's a solution for you too. So what is it? You really don't want to? I mean, they use the cliche of the people, places, and things. I mean, it's so true. I see this in a family that I know. It's just they're all in it, and it's like you got to get out of that. It may be hard. You'll go there just because you're comfortable. You go to your comfort place, even if it's not good for you. And sometimes you got to make the change, and you got to trust that somebody else, that there's people out. You're afraid that people are going to say stuff about you. Are you afraid you can't have a good life? What is it? Because you can. And so I just let people know that there's people, if you can say, I need help, I got a problem, you're going to find help. There's people that want to help, but it's hard to get people out of those places. So I just try to encourage people to just say, show up. And take the first step. I don't care doesn't matter what can happen. Don't worry about it. Just take the first step. So, yeah.
It's action, whether it's small or big.
Yeah.
In anything, like not even just addiction, anything. If you want change, you have to take action to make that change, or you're just sitting there.
Yes, take action. Right. I just heard that. I think it was last night, listening to something about the law of attraction, and then the law of action. Right. Like I'm a journaler, so I journal, and I'm thanking God, and I'm grateful for the things that I don't have. Right. But you got to take action too. Right. There's that. You have to. And that's kind of how I created what I've created, is that I'm like, wow, I've learned a lot of stuff over all these years, and now I'm using the stuff. I'm taking action, and things are happening. So yeah, you got to take action. Yeah, that's really good.
When you were working towards like your recovery and stuff, you said you were in multiple programs and tried different things. What was the one thing that like really just kind of set you on the right path?
Well, I think the biggest change was a little over 3 years ago when I met my fiance. Everything changed, and she wasn't having that, right? And she was very clear about it, and I, being so many years, I was already kind of on my way, but uh, once we got together, at the same time, so many things happened. I started at this new church with her, which she had already been going to for 20 years. But going there, meeting her, and then the personal growth and self-development, when I hammered that out on myself, things just started to happen. And it just accelerated so much. And again, it's a big part of my program, because I'm like, if I can do this, you can have it too, right? So, yeah, it was definitely my fiance. I'd like to take all the credit, but I can't.
Do you feel like she gave you some accountability that you didn't have in previous relationships, where she was just like, no, look, you're going to be who you can be, or this isn't going to work? Or is it like, what was it about her that really just kind of like kicked you in gear? Because sometimes that's what we need, right?
Oh yeah. Been kicked a lot. But again, in my late 50s, right? I've seen so much, and you're always, I want to do it right this time. I want to get it right, and I don't know if I know I didn't tell you this, but I mean, I'm getting married next week, and this is going to be.
Congrats.
Yeah, I'm not a rookie at it. This is actually going to be my fourth time. So, yeah, this is going to be my fourth time. But this time was different because I'm a Christ follower. She is all in as a Christ follower. And the truth is, God had spoken to me just shortly after I met her, and just told me what he was giving me in this situation, and this is your last shot, is what he told me, and I, in so many words, and I knew he wasn't kidding. I knew it was true, and she just has never questioned anything, but I knew there was no joke about that, because she was married for 30 years in a not a good situation, and she wasn't going to play any games. And I just knew that from what she said and what God said, they both came down on me, and I realized that this is it, and I don't want to spend the rest of my life alone. And honestly, that's when the book came into play. I've gone deep into my church, and it's just been incredible. So, yeah, it was her, and just the support. I hadn't had that in prior relationships, and so I'm free to go and do this, and with somebody fully behind me, it's just it's powerful.
Has she ever struggled with addiction?
No, she's never had a cup of coffee. Eats all organic food, and it's crazy. It's crazy.
It's the balance you needed, though.
It's the balance I needed.
Now,
Absolutely.
with your three previous, did any of them struggle with addiction as well?
No, they struggled with me in addiction.
That was enough not to get addicted.
That was enough not to get addicted. Correct. But we drank together, and but no, none of them. No. But they could only take so much.
Yeah.
So
I mean, yeah, it makes sense, right? And you had to live through that to get to this point.
Yes. Yeah, I believe so. So yeah.
So are you having like a big wedding, or is it going to be small, since this is like both of you guys have been married before?
I think we have 80, 90 people. So
dang.
yeah.
My first wedding had us and then a witness.
I've been down that road too. But yeah, 89. I thought it was going to be smaller, but she has a big family, so most of it is on her side. And
that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's really good. Her brothers are walking her down. It's going to be amazing. So I'm excited. It's next week.
That's fun. You got a busy week ahead, then, I'm sure.
It's been busy, It's been really busy. She told me to put this off till once, when we made the change. I said, "You want me to wait till after the wedding?" And she's like, "Maybe you should." And I'm like, "I just got to keep going. I want to stay in the flow." So she's working tonight, so it worked out perfect.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad it wasn't inconvenience after I had to reschedule.
I appreciate you, really do. Thank you.
Okay. So anything else you want to cover? I know we already kind of talked about when everything's kind of rolling out. So
no, I don't. I just, again, the program's rolling out. Excuse me. And then within the next 90 days, it's called the Process. I've got a website that I built. It's, it's like I said, it's all me, which it's at the very raw beginnings, and I don't care, I just believe.
It's that messy middle we love.
That's exactly. I think I wrote it down. You said, because life isn't always polished, and neither are we, is what you said on your homepage there. And I thought, wow, yes, I love it. I want to be on this. Yeah, that's the thing about this journey I'm on. I don't feel any pressure. I just said, I got to throw myself out there. I got to get on podcasts. I got to share this message and start talking about it, and not looking for perfection, just progress. Right. And, so yeah, I've got a website. It's called radicalrecovery.com, and it's not recovery. It's RECOVRY, recovery. So it's a little twist on it, but it talks a little bit about my book and the program. And like I said, I'm just starting out, so you can find me on Facebook. Basically just Facebook right now. I'm not real tech savvy, so I'm doing all this myself till other people come in the mix and can help me build this stuff. But so I'll keep moving forward.
Have you thought about starting your own podcast?
I've done some of my own podcasts. I did about 8 or 10 of them, but once the book started, I started writing it. I've been consumed by that and getting it into the publisher's hands. I will be doing podcasts for sure. I'm excited about that. I like doing this. I like being, I love this, actually. So how long have you been doing this?
I started it in December. I've put out 37 episodes.
Wow.
I try to do one every single Monday, which I've
Jeez.
had so many people interested, I might have to put 2 out on Mondays.
Wow. It's a lot of work, isn't it?
It is a lot of work. Right now, I'm still doing it all myself. So I started it with another person, but I was still doing all the work anyway. She was just showing up to record the podcast, so it didn't even make a difference not having her anymore. So yeah, I basically I take it. Well, we record it, then I edit, I upload it, I schedule it, and then I cut it all into clips, and then I share a whole folder with like 40 some clips usually, depending on the length of the podcast, and then I share that with the person that was on the episode as well, so that way, like, so you'll get a folder with all of the little clips, and then you can share them wherever you want, which it sounds like Facebook.
Definitely Facebook.
But you can share them all on there. And then typically if somebody has Instagram, I'll be able to tag them in there because I use Social Pilot, which helps me post on multiple platforms at the same time.
Does that allow you to I only want this one on this one and I want this one on that one, like that? What was it called? Because I'm just
Social Pilot. If you can't find it, let me know and I'll send you the link.
Okay, Social Pilot. Yeah, I'm doing it all myself too, and it's very basic at this point, and I'll just keep growing.
Well, if you want any tips and tricks on how to make things easier, I think I've figured out most of them.
Oh my God, yeah, I bet you did. Yeah, well, that's amazing. I'm glad that you allowed me to be on here. I really appreciate it, and this has been a lot of fun.
I appreciate you coming on. Addiction, I mean, I've talked about it on like a few other ones, but not really like a full episode into it. And it's so nice to see somebody looking at it from a different perspective than the AA perspective, right? Because I mean, I know it's still a good program, right? It helps people, but like it doesn't do people as justice as it could. And I love that you're doing something that's taking it from a different angle and it's actually helping people grow and get out of that, because I don't think you should label yourself ever. Like you shouldn't be this label for the rest of your life. You don't have to be that label. You can be whoever you want to be. It just depends on where you want to go and how hard you're willing to work for it.
Exactly. Yeah. Well said. Well put. Yeah, that's the thing. I'm glad you said that, because when I first had my first cut of the book, I just printed some off myself just so I could see my stuff in a book. So I had a local printer that printed me some copies, and I gave them to some people, and I gave them to a few people that were ran some recovery programs that I knew, and when I couldn't wait to get their feedback. And I've had no negative feedback, but they didn't buy in. And I was like, I wasn't offended, but I was like, it was like a revelation. The light went off. I said, yeah, actually, this is exactly what I want. Because they have the traditional mindset, which is fine. I was in their programs. But I realized, beautiful. When I handed it to them, I thought they're going to be like, wow, this is amazing. And they had the traditional mindset. And
well, it requires them to make adjustments to fit that mold, and it's easier just to keep things the same. It works. I'm not changing it. And that is why.
Yeah.
It's so it's
yeah. So it was actually after the fact, it was comforting. I'm like, okay, I am onto something, and this is a good thing. Those are the challenges. Definitely creating something that's completely different. If God didn't give me the vision and the plan and what I went through to write this, which to me was a testimony of God all the way, because me to even sit on a computer for an hour or more is insane. But I was on it for 8, 10, 12 hours a day and just pouring it out. And I know that the calling is great. And, it's developed me. It's helped me. I've grown tremendously in this process when I realized wow, you're the only one. You're the face to this. He had to work a lot on me, and he still is. And I've got to be the one. And so it's been great, but it's a challenge at the same time because it's something new. But
I feel like when you get backlash from people, like when you're looking for that good feedback, right? You're like, hey, I want you to check this out. I want to see how it goes. Sometimes when people come back a little bit more like negative, it's a good thing because now you're doing something that's threatening what they're doing, and it probably means that there's something good behind it. People will encourage a bad idea before they encourage a good one that threatens what they do.
wow, yeah, I like that. Very good. Yeah, yeah, that's awesome.
I
But
mean, I don't know if you heard the podcast that came out this week, but I met with Steven, who is co-founder and president of Shields and Stripes, and they help veterans kind of after like they get out, and like it kind of helps them with like the PTSD, and it's almost um, like an athlete program that kind of helps them, you know, mold back into society and like be on a better path versus just going home and like things are wrong because you're messed up from what you've seen and what you did. And so it's a really great program. But he said the same thing. He basically reached out to other nonprofits that did similar things, and a lot of them wouldn't give any information,
wow,
wouldn't tell
yeah,
him anything about what they do, would recommend him working on a different type of nonprofit. So it's amazing how like people aren't as helpful as you think.
yeah. Like you said, if it's crowding their space a little, the tune changes. Yeah, he might be out there. He probably is. He's probably out there kind of on his own as well, building this because what a phenomenal thing to do, right? Again, just kind of like similar
Yeah.
to me. It's not the traditional pathway. Stepping on
Yep.
some
And I, I
toes.
think I think people are threatened by new, but it should be like something to celebrate, right? Like we should all be like finding different ways to help society because not one can do it all,
Correct.
and
Yeah.
not one works for everyone. So I don't know. It's a funny way to look at it, but I feel like it's a good thing if you get that negativity.
Yeah. Yeah. It took me a minute because I'm like, wow, I wanted them to be jumping for joy, and that wasn't the response. But it was shortly thereafter I realized I'm on. This is good. Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
on the right path,
On the right path. So,
and it's
yeah.
only going to grow from here.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
You're just
believe
in the
it.
baby stages.
Yes. Yep.
Good things will grow. Like there's no doubt about it. As long as you don't quit, it will.
Yeah. Don't quit. I tell
That's
you
the
the
biggest
same
thing.
thing. Keep doing what you're doing because you're touching lives too. I love it. I was attracted to it immediately when I saw your show. I'm like, yeah, I like the vibe of it. People are. It's just I want to be uplifted. I want to be excited about life, and a lot of people aren't. Most probably most people aren't real. Life's tough today, and
Yeah,
but again, it's a mindset, right? You can be it's a choice, and so I want to
it,
go
it
in
is a
every day,
choice.
100 every day.
Even if you wake up in a crappy mood, it doesn't have to be a crappy day. Like I didn't
Yeah.
wake up in the best mood today, and I'm having a great time right now.
Yes, absolutely. Super. Yeah, well, I really appreciate this. Yeah, I'm excited to get the book and the program out into people's hands. It's funny as I was starting into this process, I thought, I want to keep working with people. I want to keep working with people, but because it's just me, I've got to get to the next stage, and as this gets to go out, then there'll be a program built. Then I'll be starting. Really, I'm excited to start the very first program. To get into a church that says, yeah, we want this, we need this. And then I can get to go do what I want to do, and that's start talking to people and getting people fired up about life, and get fired up about their futures. So, yeah, but it's not right now, but it's coming soon.
You
Like you
have the
said,
vision, and you're
yeah,
almost to the starting point, right? Like you've already
yes,
developed it. Now it's just gotta get it out
yep,
there.
yep, that's what's happening. So, yeah,
I'm very
I'm
excited for
excited.
you,
Thank you so much. I
and
appreciate it.
I can't wait to see it grow. I
Thank
can't
you.
wait to see it overcome AA, because personally, I'm not for the AA
Yeah,
thing. And
it hasn't done much for me. It's actually the one I kind of contrast. Like, I don't want that setting. I want that. I want people to be excited, telling people about
yeah,
what they're involved in, and I want people to go home and say this has been really good. I'm really going to work hard on myself this time. I'm going to make this happen, and what's the alternative? Do you want to be in the everybody in this little pit in this cocoon? And not me. I'm
well,
not going
like
to
you're
have it.
dependent on something for the rest of your life. They expect you, if you join AA, that you are going to do this until the day you die, basically. Like they want you in as many meetings as possible. They want you, contributing any way possible to AA. Like your life is AA. Like
Well,
I know people that prioritize it over their family, over their
yes.
job.
Well, they say keep coming back. That's what they're one of their things. And I'm the opposite of that. I'm not against meetings. I still go to AA from time to time, just if I can support a friend, or maybe I just need to go to a meeting out of the blue just because I want to. There's nothing wrong with it, but addiction, whatever you had to go through and deal with, let's get it behind you. Because that's just a piece of life. Let's get into life. Let's
Get
start
it in the
becoming.
background.
Yes, you got it. Yeah, keep that background. By the way, that's another catcher right there.
I
Yeah.
got it. I want to get like a new one, just because it has my old logo at the bottom, but you can't see it, so it's like,
Oh, oh, I love it. It's all good stuff. Yeah.
all right. Well, do you want to leave with like a message? Is there a message you want to leave to anybody?
Well, sure, sure. I would just say that if there's anybody out there struggling, and that's hiding, because that's what in addiction, you're hiding. Um, I would just encourage you to realize that you're worth it. You're worth it. Reach out to somebody you can trust, and share what you've got going on, and start the process. Take the first step. The other side is beautiful. So just become the best you can be and go all in every day.
Well, that all in every day.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Stephen. If you want to hang out for just a second after I wrap
Yep.
this up.
Thank you, Felicia. I really appreciate you. Your podcast is awesome, and you're doing great things. And I'm grateful to be here. Thank you for today.
Thank you so much for sharing your story and helping others, because that is huge. All right. Until next time, guys. Bye.